The Vague Pursuit of Greatness, Reflections of a 21st Century Musician. Hello, my name is Alyssa Cubed. I'm a multi-genre, multi-instrumental, experimental musician from Florida. If that sounds vague, yeah, I know. I've been on a 5-year journey now of finding my musical identity and musical goals. I've made music varying from indie folk, electronic, hip-hop, lo-fi, cinematic, and a mishmash of other genres. I write, record, and produce all my music. I've done almost every type of music-related job, including retail, performing, hosting and facilitating events, teaching, mixing, commissioning, and being a stagehand. That's all I can think of at the moment. I have other goals such as having grand performances like Lindsey Sterling, writing a musical, writing film scores, developing plugins, 3D printing cool music gadgets, and inventing or building an instrument of some sort. I absolutely love to learn new things and play a variety of instruments, with my main ones being guitar, saxophone, and producing in Ableton. This broad range of doing and dabbling has been exciting, but also confusing and a little all over the place, and at times overwhelming as I try to do everything. This is my journey as a musician in the 21st century and navigating adulting. I know I have all the tools, possibilities, and potential right in front of me, and I can do anything. And somehow I believe I can do everything. I can make so many kinds of music, I have endless virtual tools, and an abundance of hardware gear and instruments. I have plugins that can do everything. Heck, some I can even program myself if I wanted to. I can run a whole business myself. I know video editing, photo editing, how to make flyers and promote for events, host events, perform, how to build a website, how to play and continue to learn various instruments. Oh, and of course, writing and producing the music, the thing that it's all revolved around. Yet, with all of this knowledge and action, I feel almost totally unfocused and paralyzed in analysis paralysis, and that I feel I don't actually grow in much of anything. I feel I have accomplished a lot, and at the same time, in the same place I was when I started. Sure, I know a lot more things now, but has it actually translated to being farther ahead in some way? I feel that I've got myself caught in a cycle of getting ready to be ready to be ready, as Abraham Hicks likes to say.
Because you think that the satisfaction is being ready to be ready to be ready to be ready to be ready so that you can get the big prize which will satisfy you.
I feel as if every new music gig or music-related job is but a stepping stone to the real place. The vague, big goal I have set up for myself to achieve something remarkable and great. Making art that resonates with people on a soul level as it does with me when I make it when I'm in my flow state. And yet, I'm not entirely sure what it is that I want to say or what that looks like, as if I can plan my impact on people or know the future. But I do know my values: authenticity, integrity, truth, hard work, mastery. So it makes sense that that would be my message, but it still feels so vague. So it makes sense that I'm here where I'm at right now, vague goals with vague results. Currently, I'm looking for another day job replacement. Let me start from the beginning of my musical and working journey. Right now I'm 24. So when I was 19, I just started to learn how to record. Around the same time, I graduated college with an associate's degree in computer programming. It was a subject that fascinated me enough that it was a nice, stable option. And my dad did it too. So seemed reasonable. However, I decided that I was going to pursue music instead when I graduated, whatever that meant. While I was really good at getting good grades, passing tests, and completing tasks that were assigned to me, I did not feel confident enough to actually seek a programming job outside of college. I also knew that I wanted to pursue something that was meaningful and that was in alignment with my life purpose, and something that I enjoyed. I despise the idea of finding most of my time, my energy, my life being spent on a job just to get by, or worse, something that I hated. So then, what did I do? I got a job at Guitar Center, something music related to start. I ended up working there for 2.5 years. 2 of those years I secretly despised and felt a growing resentment grow inside of myself. This was a crucial stepping stone in my music journey and life journey as a whole, since I learned a lot in that experience and entering the adulting world, I will say. I made the commitment to music. I was at least surrounded by it all the time, and I got an epic discount that I utilized the most out of all my coworkers there. From recording gear to instruments, free plugins of software, buying gear from customers, and networking in various ways. I met people whom I got more music work with, made friends, and got introduced to the Southwest Florida music scene, most prominently at the kava bars, and started performing and being a subcontractor of various sorts. However, the longer I stayed at Guitar Center, the more resentment in myself I felt at a soul level, drip by drip, just deteriorating. It was because of these two things: the breaking of my own value and personal integrity, and the lack of self-efficacy I felt as I stayed in conformity, not making any real changes to my situation. To preface, to be a salesperson at Guitar Center, you have one main job: selling warranties. If you've ever been to Guitar Center and bought an instrument, a speaker, heck, even a tuner or piano sustain pedal, you've been asked to buy a warranty with it. What made it so bad for me was I constantly felt that subtle underlying pressure to make people spend extra money on something that I would not buy myself. Not that it didn't work, I just didn't care or felt it had that much value, but we needed to pitch it to people as if it did. They instructed me on how to act, what to say, how to behave, how to display particular body language, etc. I hated lying. I'm embarrassed to say that in the early days, I had made up stories on gear that broke that this pro coverage insurance had covered, and I hated myself for it afterwards. Over the period of time that I worked there, I had a tendency to be the lowest ranking in this specific category. While I had been higher ranking in most of the others, most importantly, #1 top salesperson for many months in a row, by studying my ass off, having interest in most, if not all, the gear the store had to sell, learning Spanish, etc. Making commission, this was the only metric that I cared about, since this is where I made 2/3 or 3/5 of my paycheck. With that aside, the pro coverage was the only metric they cared about. There were a couple times I had a manager coach me, which meant being by my side all day to watch how I pitch it, tell me what to say and how to say it, and how I need to have conviction in what I'm saying. There were other things, such as a laughable 25-cent raise for being the highest in sales, cutting hours when they felt like it, closing hours cutting into your commission so you're financially incentivized to clock out early and work off the clock, and changing the commission structure entirely so the company made more money while we made less. There were some days I cried in my car on my lunch break or once I got home around 10 p.m. just feeling trapped and lost on where to go next. I knew I wanted to change, that I couldn't work this job forever, that I had to stop complaining about my situation and actually change. I had feared that if I were to get another job, it would pay less and I wouldn't be able to pay all my bills, or the job would be worse in some way. I told myself it was worth it for all the gear I was acquiring, and it was all building it to something bigger and something great. And this was just a sacrifice I had to make, and suck it up. So I stuck it out and continued to stay until I reached my breaking point. I do want to make a side note that my managers were good people, but the corporate structure put this pressure on everyone, and if I didn't perform, they lost their bonus or money from their paycheck in some way, and they tried their best to get me to perform without being a demeaning or demanding manager, like other places can have. But I could not sell my integrity in the way that they wanted me to, so I'm not sorry for that. To continue, while working there, I had also picked up some other jobs. These included learning how to mix and do some mixing work at a studio, helping my former coworker build his music teaching business with my web design and other tech skills, teaching briefly, hosting open mic and open jam events at local kava bars, performing shows here and there at local bars and art shows, and dabbling in commission work. Holding multiple jobs at once has become my standard and my norm to stay ahead and ensure that I'm making enough money and growing my skill sets at the same time. I'm aware that it's not sustainable in the long term, but right now this pushes me in the right direction. Wherever that direction is, I don't know, but I trust that the path will reveal itself. I decided my next best step would be to find a different day job to replace Guitar Center. I had browsed many jobs on Indeed and Glassdoor, and the job I had found that would pay the same more or less, wouldn't suck, and have more normal hours, not getting home at 10 p.m., was being a low voltage technician. This actually genuinely piqued my curiosity, and I was like, yeah, sounds nice. I had absolutely no knowledge of this, but I was interested and desperately wanted to change, music related or not. I applied to every apprenticeship I could find. None got back to me except for a field technician, which involved climbing 40 feet ladders and carrying up to 50 pounds, which I did not feel comfortable with. However, one day working at Guitar Center, my future boss walks in the Pilates section, planning out his next big job of installing XLR cabling for this big restaurant. and he was kind enough to take me on, and I was able to provide my current knowledge and skills, which felt really good. It was also so refreshing to work a job that I was using my brain and problem solving versus just my persona to make sales, and worse, insurance, and the occasional customer emotional regulation. In addition to this, I got another job the same day, ironically enough, at Amazon, being a delivery driver. So now, 7 months later, I've been primarily working at Amazon with various gigs in between, with low voltage installations, TV installations, being a stagehand, hosting events, and DJing a wedding soon. And of course, unpaid, continuing to hone my music skills and create art. Okay, caveat, I have made like $26 from DistroKid over the past 3 years. So, I found myself come full circle again, looking for a new day job to replace Amazon while I continue to work on my music, my business, whatever that means. Amazon has its own toxicity that is revealing itself more and more. That is, it's very fire happy. If you're late twice, fired. Call off too much, fired. Fuck up in some way, fired. Meanwhile, recently I had shown up to work, stressing if I would make it on time due to bridge traffic. I make it on time, just for them to tell me that they scheduled too many people and for me to go home. So here I'm thinking, okay, yeah, it's time for another replacement, now what? And so repeats the cycle of finding a day job to replace this day job so I can prepare and save to work on my music and business. One day will feel safe enough to make a full leap and only focus on music. I have always had this vague intention in the back of my mind that this is all just one big stepping stone, or sometimes multiple stepping stones happening at the same time, to where I'm meant to be, that I'm preparing to live, that I am waiting for this right moment to quit all my day jobs and just focus on music. While I drive at Amazon, I infinitely prepare myself by listening to music production tutorials, tips and techniques, listen to gear tutorials about the gear that I bought with my discount at Guitar Center, listen to music, half getting lost in it, half analyzing what's happening in the songs and the patterns and sound design that went into each particular one and figuring out how I can recreate them. I'm listening to music business videos about music distributors and the current music business, videos about music theory. I'm listening to ways to make money online. I'm listening to all the AI news updates, all of this and getting ready to be ready. So what about my music? Well, I do make music. It's just the proportion in which I study the making of it versus the action and implementations of the lessons that I've learned. Right now, as I'm thinking about my next steps, looking for another job, I'm thinking again, what is this all for? Why did I set out to pursue music again? My passion and love that I had felt in the beginning when I started to learn how to produce has become a to-do list of tasks and vague goals I'm not sure how to materialize. How do I cultivate that magic again, giving myself enough time and energy to do so without the pressure to be productive, while at the same time making sure I have enough money to support myself and be smart? I have unintentionally put so much pressure on myself that this is my life purpose and I must do it, and I must grind, make it there, wherever there is. And so, finding myself in the cycle of constant doing with new goals and interests and projects that spring up in every direction along the way. A constant teeter-totter of navigating uncertainty and transitioning from one-day job or jobs to dream job or jobs, with the myth of there being one set arrival. This has created unnecessary pressure on myself that sometimes temporarily made me forget the why behind my pursuit. So now, instead of looking for my next project to finish, or the next way to make some money or get ahead in a never-ending rat race, I'm looking for how to be present with where I'm at right now, finding wholeness in the being of right now, realizing that to have made it isn't somewhere in some distant future with some great goal achieved. Consciously, I know that once I achieve some big goal and have made it, there will be a new goal to reach, and then I've really made it, and so the cycle continues. I'm focusing on the daily systems that I want to implement, how I think, how I feel, how I work, how I interact with people, how I talk to myself, and how much I expect from myself, rather than just project after project. I'm remembering the beauty, the passion, the why behind all of this. This is my new goal, one that can't be captured in achieving or captured at all, only by slowing down, being present, and accepting of what is, not pressuring myself of needing to be further ahead or somewhere else. This has been my journey so far. I got a little tear at the end as I read it out loud. So yeah, this is my journey in the vague pursuit of greatness. Thanks for watching. I have no idea where I'm gonna go from here, bro. But I've been telling myself forever, I'm like, yeah, I want to have my YouTube channel up and running and like make consistent videos. I have 3 whole pages. Or is it 4? 5. I have 5 pages of video ideas. So yeah, here's one I just created today. And that's what I got.